Streaming live via the internet. Welcome to ISP Radio, your weekly source for ISP-related news, events, and interviews with industry experts. If you deliver internet via fiber optic, wireless, coax, or any other way, you're in the right place. Chat live with us weekly via ispradio.com every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now a brief word from our sponsors. Link Technologies, providing ISP consulting, support, and hardware for wireless ISPs. TowerCoverage.com, providing online RF coverage maps. And now your host for ISP Radio, Steve Grabiel and Dennis Burgess.
Welcome to another edition of ISP Radio. We're back and online, and I'm Steve, broadcasting from Moriarty, New Mexico, and Dennis is producing the show and doing all the co-hosting and stuff from St. Louis, Missouri. Dennis, you there?
Of course, man.
Any new news that we haven't heard for the last month? I mean, this is the WISPAPalooza follow-up show, but anything pressing out there that we should know about?
You know, not a whole lot. I mean, WISPAPalooza was a really great event. Probably I keep saying this, but every year it grows and it gets bigger. And it is definitely one of the defining events of our industry. If you are a wireless ISP of any caliber, starting out all the way up to years and years of experience, you should be at this event. This is your industry trade show. This is the industry that you've chosen to be in, and you should be there to, one, support the industry, but also the amount of information you get is absolutely insane. It's a really, really great show. This year is definitely no exception to that, and we've seen more vendors than ever before. We've seen more attendees than ever before, and more and more new members. In other words, first-time attendees that have never been to the show. For me, as a vendor, and many other vendors that go to these shows, this is a really good thing, the seeing the industry continue to grow. But then also on the members side, all these attendees, the amount of information, I have never heard anybody say, I didn't learn anything. Mm-hmm. Every person I've ever talked to always says this. They go, I didn't want to go, I didn't go for many years, and now all of a sudden I went. I can't believe I didn't go for the previous years. I should have, and if I would have, I would be in a different position than I am now. So very, very good show. Great time. Of course, Vegas is always interesting as it may be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was there for Fiber Weekend, and through the whole show, that was quite a bit of time there, almost too much, but it was well worth it for sure. Well, today's show is obviously the follow-up to the show, and on our show we've got Alex Phillips. He's the president of the organization, WISPA, and we've got Trina Coffey, the director of operations for the show. So I'm going to turn it over to Alex. Alex, give us a little bit of statistics about how successful the show was, and it was.
Well, we had another record-breaking year. Trina's got a lot of the numbers for the show, but I think we ended up with about 1,700 attendees.
Yes. 1,668 attendees.
Yeah, so that was great. And, I saw a lot of new vendors at the show. I think that folks were being presented with new technologies. The sessions were wonderful. We had a lot of the stuff that we usually have. We had some new sessions that basically, show how our industry is evolving. And we had a lot of good information. We had the report from the car. One of our for trying to basically drum up support for our efforts there in DC.
So hey, Alex, or actually Trina, tell us, what does it take in all reality? What does it really take to put on over 100 vendors and 1,600 attendees? Is it easy?
No, it's not easy. So the process starts for WISPAPalooza, for example. We are contracted with the hotel through 2019. So the process of finding the space can be years out for a show this large. You can't, go to a venue 6 months out and say, hey, I want to bring 1,700 people and have 6 breakout sessions and an exhibit hall for 122 vendors and expect to find space available anywhere, even at the convention center. So the process can be years out in terms of the contract. And then I also, for ease to try to, make not having to do every single step every year, try to make as many of the vendor contracts that I need for the booth building, the registration system, things like that. I try to do as many of those that I can multi-year, but I cannot do all of them multi-year. So we have to start on those. I will start hitting some of the non-multi-year contracts for next year's WISPAPalooza when I come back from vacation next week. So some of those are a year out. There's then, you just have little things throughout, say from 12 months to 6 or 7 months out that you have to hit here and there during the week and keep the ball rolling about so it really starts. So we have to have the exhibit hall plan drawn in our software so that the booths can be a live draw on the website, so that you can click at the booth and buy the booth and not have to call the office or anything like that, and you can see in real time as the booths sell. Then we have to create the event for the attendees and all the ticket pricing and all of that, and we begin with the process of ordering internet, AV, food, beverages, parsing out the hotel block to the correct days, doing out sub blocks for some of our larger vendors will send upwards of 30 to 40 people. They don't want 30 to 40 individual charges on the company credit card, so we set up sub blocks for them for their attendees. And then I have sub blocks for the board and my staff and that type of thing. So we start dealing with all of that and start trying to give the hotel updated number counts for people. And this is where I want to stress the importance of early registration. There have been several members over the last couple of years. I get anywhere from 2 to 3 dozen phone calls every year that they are paying an outrageous rate over the weekend or an outrageous rate over, Monday or Tuesday of the show, sometimes Sunday evening. I can only contract the hotel block based on what I am seeing from the previous year. And I'm not going to commit WISPA to an outrageous hotel block. For those who don't understand, if I book 4,000 room nights, not 4,000 rooms, but room nights, and we do not sell 80% of those, WISPA is on the hook for everything between what we did sell and 80%. We have to literally buy it out. And we don't get the rooms either. We just have to pay for them. So I can only make the hotel block commitment based on numbers that I have and on early registration numbers. If I'm not seeing registration in the first 2 or 3 months equal to what we did the previous year, then I'm going to start releasing pieces of the hotel block. An outrageous. It also, early registration also helps with food planning. Everything is in scale. So, for example, at the receptions and things such as this, some things, if you order larger quantities, you get a discount. Not many, but some. And I try to use as many of those as I possibly can. But if I don't have commitments from people early enough out, I can't utilize them. Some of those opportunities fall away 60 to 90 days out. This year document. On October 2nd, we had 908 attendees. Okay. That means that over 700 people registered week before the show and during the show. This makes it almost impossible for me to plan or to get people decent hotel rates. I can't get the rate that close to the show. They typically cut off 3 weeks out. So, and that's kind of the process. And then for my staff, basically the last 6 weeks before we go, we are working our tails off. Myself personally, because it's just what I need to do. I'm typically working from about 7 a.m. till 10 or 11 p.m. to tie up all the loose ends and get all the final orders done.
So let's go to the actual numbers compared to last year, 2015 versus 2016. The show's growing. It's getting bigger. I mean, I believe it is, but I'm sure that you have hard numbers, right?
Yeah, the show is growing incredibly. Let me get. So we have sustained over the last few years, and I caution this will eventually go away. I can't maintain this forever, but we have sustained over the last few years between a 16 and 20% overall attendance increase. And this year we were at 20%.
I mean, that's a really great number to have. It's really great that we see the industry as a whole continuing to progress forward and all these new people coming in. It's really, really good. Can you kind of give us? I know we had lots of people asking about, hey, can we get some food? Can we get this? Can we get that? Can we get into any of those costs? I mean, that might be proprietary information for WISPA, so we may not be able to. But
no, I am more than willing to share the numbers so that I may catch a little less grief from people. So now. Every planner orders their food different. I take into account the fact that approximately 5% of the people, it doesn't matter what I serve, they're not going to eat it. Okay. The hotel has what they call an overage that, if you order for X number, they actually put food out there for X number, because if you have you'll notice that several of our buffets had multiple meat choices. They have to somewhat accommodate. They can't say that if there's 2 types of meat that half eat beef and half of you are going to eat chicken. It's more like 65% and 65%. They do an overage. So I use that food ordering, and I order food local fashion. That complaint different shows about it's the one subject I hate the most when it comes to food. So breakfast, for those who want to be in the know, at WISPAPalooza this year was $68,000.
My God.
So
that there you go.
that was for breakfast on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
To add breakfast on Wednesday and Thursday, if you do the math, is over another $130,000. And breakfast is probably the most wasted meal I serve.
Just not as many people showing up, especially in Vegas.
Right. And by Thursday in Vegas, I mean, once I have the solid numbers from the attendance reports, I'll come back on and share them with you guys. But if you take a look at the number of people in the room on Tuesday morning as compared to the number of people in the room on Thursday morning, you're wondering where half our people went. Because they've been out too late a few too many nights.
That never happens in Vegas, right?
Yeah, it's Vegas.
Yeah, that never happens in Vegas ever. Gotcha. So, obviously the shows are, no matter what you do, I mean, you have to realize you got 16 attendees plus, and quickly.
The cost of the soda. So we went around the room and we said, how much do you think that, the sodas and water and coffee in the hallway costs WISPA, per day or whatever? I don't even know if he said per day. Just how much do you think it costs? And we got numbers anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000. Okay. Well, the cost of that soda per day was $71,735.97.
Down to the cents.
Yep. So over the 3-day period of WISPAPalooza, we spent over $200,000 on Pepsi.
Jeez.
I mean, And so we've put forth the questions to some of the attendees. Some of the things that I'm looking at, you're all familiar that we do the drink tokens, during the annual awards reception. I'm thinking about doing drink tokens for sodas. I'll buy you 2 a day, and the rest of them are kind of on your own. We're looking at other options, to save money here and there. What I don't want people to think is that we're somehow trying to chintz them out on their experience or what what we're offering them. But I don't think people realize the costs of a lot of these things that we have, at the show. For example, if we do the sodas on a consumption basis, which somebody suggested, they're $4.20 a piece, plus a 24% service charge, plus 8.1% sales tax. So, it's over $5 a soda, and they're tiny little sodas, So I just, I welcome anyone's questions to me as to why we cut the food costs. I just think that the biggest misunderstanding out there is people do not understand exactly how much this stuff costs. And it's not just that it's Vegas. Don't get that thought stuck in your head, because it's almost as outrageous at every other venue we go to. Food is the most expensive element of WISPAPalooza or WISPA America.
Could you say that each of the lunches was about $68K too?
I'm actually looking at a bill here. Yeah, 66,315.
And those are each day.
Yes.
Wow.
So each day we were spending approximately $140,000 just for sodas and lunch.
Wow.
You have to realize that anytime you go to any of these types of trade shows, it doesn't matter where you're at, these convention centers and these hotels, you are a captive audience. Simple as that. So, when you go to these places, you expect that you're going to pay a little bit more for those things, and that's what happens. And it's not. It is a industry practice. It's not like it's one hotel or one convention center or anything. So, however, the big thing to take back from here is, one, the shows are profitable. We're bringing in money for WISPA, which is very, very important. Two, the shows are doing something that helps our industry. And it's actually way more than that. The amount of knowledge and experience that is shared at any one of these shows is worth its weight in gold. And every dollar that we spend on the shows, every dollar that goes towards these things and these expenses, those are just little things. Because the amount of experience and the amount of knowledge that you're going to get by going to one of these shows is worth every dime.
I hear that repeatedly from people who call me. They've never been to a show. They want to, talk a little bit about what goes on at the shows. I, share that experience with them, of what we've done in the past. And then they go, and then they call me when they get back, and they're like, oh my gosh, my brain hurts. There's too much information to absorb. I'm going to have to bring more people. I couldn't get to all of the vendors I wanted to talk to, because there was 122 of them in there. So even if you divide them up, you have 40 a day. That's a lot of people to talk to,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I did get some people that said that this year, is that they were trying to get to everybody just to at least see everybody, and it was hard. It was very hard to do, just given the time of the day.
A question I've got is, you just threw this out there. It's just not Vegas that's doing this. You experience this with WISP America wherever you go, right? That's
correct.
These are similar costs wherever you go.
Right. The thing we have to watch for, I'm sure several people have noticed, at WISP America, we may have a full liquor bar or we may have a beer and wine bar. A lot of the states that we go to have an alcohol tax. So I have to watch for that, and be careful about, I don't want to pay money in taxes. I want to pay money in things for our attendees. Now, last year at WISP America, we went offsite to a bar. I think everyone enjoyed that. Everyone had a really good time with that. I will be looking for a venue to do something very similar in Memphis. In Vegas, unfortunately, they kind of know what you're there for. So, I mean, everywhere it's a buyout and a service charge. I hate the service charge. Just I'm a good tipper.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, the costs are somewhat higher in Vegas. However, the cost for the attendees are less. Airfare to Vegas tends to be cheaper than, say, to Louisville, Kentucky. And I can get the hotel rates cheaper in Vegas than I can anywhere else. So it is a little more expensive for the association, but it's a little cheaper for the attendees in Vegas.
There you
I
go.
want to share a little story about the outrageous money for the hotel rooms. People saying that they showed up late and they had to pay an arm and a leg. I drove out to Vegas from Albuquerque, and I was there, took off Friday, got there Friday night. Of course, my room wasn't reserved till Saturday for Fiber Weekend. And I went up to the hotel and asked, do you have any rooms? Yeah, $300. That one night was half of my total bill for the full length of the stay. So, like Trina says, you want a good deal, sign up early.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think everybody's on that is we and sign up 99.9%. If you go for a vacation, you don't sign up the week before. You sign up much earlier. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way you do. If you need to sign up early, you need to watch the site. Speaking of our site and speaking of upcoming events, Trina, I am sure that you're going to be able to tell us exactly what's coming up in the 2017 year.
Yes, so for WISP America, we will be in Memphis, Tennessee. And the dates of the show are March 14th through the 16th. Now, we all know that, some of our vendor members will offer, specialized training the weekend before and the weekend after. So watch the co-located agenda page for that information. So we'll be, like I said, in Memphis the 14th through the 16th. And then WISPAPALOOZA 2017 will be October 9th through the 12th. Now, those are the dates based on the current show format. So that brings us to another subject that we wanted to discuss. So I think we're about 99% positive we're going to change the format of WISPAPALOOZA and Fiber Weekend. We are going to push the two shows together, and rather than have Saturday, Sunday be Fiber Weekend, and then Monday kind of be a dead day or a training day, and then WISPAPALOOZA be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to move WISPAPALOOZA to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which would be October 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then Fiber Weekend will become Fiber Boot Camp. This is kind of the theme behind this shirt. So Fiber Boot Camp would be on October 12th and 13th. The reasoning behind this is, one, to save our attendees a little more money. Steve just told you about his $300 Friday night hotel rate. If you'd have gone to the front desk on Sunday when you were supposed to arrive on Monday, you would have paid $118 a night instead of the $99 a night. So yes, you still would have been penalized a little bit for having not booked early, but it wouldn't be as bad because Sunday through Thursday rates in Vegas are the cheapest. So by pushing the two shows into this format going Monday through Friday, it will end Friday, by the way, around 1 o'clock. So the average person could fly in on Sunday evening utilizing the cheapest rates and fly out on Friday afternoon, again, still utilizing the cheapest rates. Sunday is, by the way, the cheapest day to fly into Vegas, and Friday is the cheapest day to fly out. Most people are going to Vegas for the weekend, so Friday's the most expensive day to fly in. Sunday's the most expensive day to fly out. So if we push the and like I said, we're like 90% sure this is what we're doing. So then the show dates will be October 9th through the 13th if you want to stay for the entire show. Now, what this will also do for our vendors, for folks like you, Dennis, it's always been an extra fee and 3 extra days for you to participate in Fiber Weekend. And to, get time with those attendees. Fiber Weekend has steadily grown over the years. It started out at 50 attendees, and we had 250, I believe, this year. So with it'll give you time with those attendees because the exhibit hall will not change. It will still be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The only difference for exhibitors would be that there would be Thursday evening exhibit hours where there has not been in the past.
Gotcha. So for those of you that are exhibitors or vendors to these shows, kind of one of the big problems that we get is how many room nights do we have? If we bring 5 or 6 or 7 people, all of a sudden every night that they stay extra is a significant cost. So in this case, the show is going to probably have one more night for vendors. However, for the attendees, they have the option to do the entire show. We're going to be flying in on the cheapest day, leaving on the cheapest day for flights. Also, the rooms, for the most part, are going to be hopefully just as cheap, if not cheaper, especially since there's nothing on the weekend for the most part. But, of course, we'll always have those co-located trainings and things like that. I did get a comment on the ispradio.com site that actually said we did a really, really great job this year at getting the class schedules or the scheduled classes pre-show on the website. And obviously that is up to the vendors to give us to us, but we're we're more than willing to put it up there. But we have to have that information. So we definitely had some really, really great comments. Let's see here, just a couple comments. This show was hands down the best value I spent all year from actually a listener. The same listener also said it made a big difference to have those classes or the scheduled classes listed so you know where to go, etc. As well. The one person did say that they missed it. And is it going to be at the Rio? Yes, we are contracted to what year?
2019.
2019.
They're going to be pushing at me for 2020 and 2021 soon.
Yeah, they're gonna go. Are you gonna be?
That's it. That's another thing that I'd like to bring up quickly, Dennis, because there were some people that were, and that I understand and I sympathize, but there were some people that were very upset that WISPAPalooza this year fell over Yom Kippur, and they felt we were being somewhat insensitive to their religious issues. That is not our intent at all. What I need to explain to people is that in terms of Vegas conferences, you own a week. You own that week. And when I say that the hotel will be poking at me for 2020 and 2021, it's because somebody doesn't own a week. So they'll go, oh, well, I want to do the week of October 8th in 2020. We have what is called first right of refusal. That week is mine, right? Once that week, they call me and say, Trina, do you want it? I say, well, of course I do. So now I have to contract for it. Okay. I cannot change that week. I could call them up right now for 2020 or 2021, and Yom Kippur moves. So we are not hitting it through the contracts that I have signed right now. But I could not call them up for 2020 or 2021 and say, oh, I just want to shift a week. Because they would call the person who already owns that week and they'd say, no, that's our week and contract for it. It's kind of, a bed we have to lie in from the original dates that we chose for WISPAPalooza. When we change hotels, we shuffle a little bit because of, where we're changing. But honestly, I do not foresee us leaving the Rio for a long time. I might have to, and everybody's step count will increase a lot. But I don't foresee us leaving. If we leave the Rio, our only options left to us are the If you think the Rio's expensive, you should try over there for a bit. And then after that, our other option is the Las Vegas Convention Center, which increases the costs to WISPA exponentially. Convention centers are not carpeted. They are not set up the way hotels are set up. So I just wanted to address that I was not being insensitive to the Yom Kippur holiday. It's just we own a week, and I can't change that week.
So I want to share something that actually they said we actually have a user on our site commenting about, and I was actually going to comment about this beforehand. I also want to thank you for the great show, but also for the wonderful diet plan that you got me on walking around this place. My wife was there for part of the show, and she said she got home and she checked her little thing that she wears, and she's like, it's like 23 miles in 4 days. And the comment that was just on the website is I walked an average of 4 miles a day during this conference. And it's not that all the everything's far away from each other. You know, getting from your hotel room down through the hotel, you know, that's a good little ways. But then everybody goes out and does their own thing. So thanks for the fitness regiment there.
Yeah, I checked my Fitbit when I got back, and from when I arrived in Vegas until WISPAPalooza was over. Now, I did have to fly out a day early because of Hurricane Matthew. I typically arrive on Thursday before the show, but I got there on Wednesday. So from Wednesday until WISPAPalooza was over, I walked 106 miles.
Woo! Well, that.
Speaking of that, how long were you totally you went to for event planners, right? How long were you there? I thought a week was
there
too
for
much.
15 days, and I really just wanted to kill someone by the end of it. I just wanted to come home. I wanted to eat food without some weird sauce on it. I wanted to hug my grandbaby and stay in my PJs all day.
There you go. I mean, I go there for a week, and it's a long week. But, you know, the way I always look at it as a vendor, and think about all these vendors, usually it's a get up in the morning, 7, 8, 9, usually pretty early. Usually for me, 6, because I have other things I have to get done. Get up at 6, bed, and then you get up and you do it again. And then 6 more times. And, by the end of the week...
6 a.m. to midnight most days.
Yeah. By the end of the week, you're sitting there going, I want standard... I don't even want fried chicken. I want grilled chicken, plain, with iced tea and nothing else. And I'm happy. Just, no more spicy food, no more weird food. Just, like you said, just the basics and no alcohol and just keep going,
Somebody hunted down Ariel and Gary and Dave and I on Friday night after we got everything packed up and we were all done. And Dave and Gary were waiting for their flight. So we were in the hospitality suite. And they hunted us down and they said, "What are you doing?" And we were quite pathetic. It was 6:30 on a Friday night in Vegas. We were drinking sodas and water, watching a 4-year-old movie on regular broadcast TV with commercials because all of us were too lazy to go find anything else to do.
Yep, I understand.
One quick question, vendor growth. You said that the show has grown 16 to 20% per year. What was the numbers on vendor growth from the previous years?
I don't have the exact number on that it is pretty much comparable most years. If it's 20% attendees, it's 20% vendors. And that's because a lot of the larger companies, Cambium, Ubiquity, they will watch the attendance numbers and they will send more people as the attendance numbers grow. But in terms of the vendor spaces, this is the largest exhibit hall I have ever personally drawn, not just with WISPA, but ever. So we had 167 10 by 10 booth spaces that completely sold out to 122 vendors, which was, I believe, 18 more vendors than last year. And that's even with Power Code in their booth that was larger than my first apartment.
There you go. Gotcha. And Fiber Weekend doubled their vendor attendance as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did. They
So,
did.
keep in mind, or as we go forward, I would like to make sure everybody watches the announcements from WISPA. Very important to WISPA, specifically on here's when the show is, here's when you can start registering, here's when you can get your booths, things like that. Here's when you can go ahead and start registering and get your hotel rooms, things like that. All that is very, very important. Sooner you get it, it gives you the lowest cost option, as well as helps us plan for the event to make sure it is as good as all of the events already are. Again,
I will say that the mailing list announcements at WISPA.org is very sparingly used. I don't put a lot of things on it because when something comes from it, I want you to read it. So it's very sparingly used intentionally. So, I mean, when the show launches, you'll hear about it. For the vendors that may be listening, the booth sales for WISP America will launch in a couple weeks. For attendees, I am hoping to launch for registration around the third week of November.
November of this year?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
This is the shortest break for my staff and I, is between WISPAPalooza and WISP America. We get a little bit bigger break between WISP America and WISPAPalooza, but with these two shows only being 5 months apart, it's a compacted time frame. And unfortunately, the amount of work that goes in one versus the other, it's not any different. You still have to order the same stuff, just less of it.
Gotcha. Well, Trina, unless there's anything else that you really want to get off and make sure everybody knows about, remember, everybody, WISP America 2017, Memphis, Tennessee, March 14th through the 16th. And then we also have WISPAPalooza 2017. Right now it is slated for October 9th through the 12th. But make sure you look at those WISPA announcement emails, because those are where you're going to get the best information on when you can sign up, when you can register, when you can get your rooms. Just keep that in mind. Trina, any last words that you have there?
No, good? I just want to thank everybody for a great show. I want to, thank I want to thank my staff for all of the tremendous work they do. I honestly could not do this without Ariel, Gary, and David. I really couldn't. There's too much work for one person. And I want to thank the board for all the support that they give me and the trust they put in me for carrying off these shows. They're trusting me with a lot of responsibility and a lot of money. And I appreciate their confidence and their trust.
Well, you did a fabulous job, and we appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going back to my vacation.
Thank you for taking time off. The next part of the show is about the two interesting things that we found out about at the show, the WISP Pack and the Carmel Group. Alex, you want to talk a little bit to that? And I think we'll have individual shows because it's a good topic to talk about for an hour anyways. But Alex, you want to go a little bit into those?
Yeah, so there was a couple of questions that people had to me personally and stuff I heard secondhand about the Carmel Group report, and to be honest, the report that Jimmy gave at the show was very abbreviated. He has a tremendous amount of information he's putting together for this report. Some questions that came up is are we thinking about changing the title of a WISP to something else, and other things where a lot of the information that he gave was stuff that we already knew, and that's all very good points. So I guess to start with, the purpose of the report was to qualify and quantify our industry. And so when Jimmy's looking at this, he's collecting a lot of data, and I want to thank everybody for participating in the surveys and giving us valuable information. But the thing is he's trying to first of all identify what a WISP is. What is it that makes us like other things that the industry that we're in recognizes. So he looks at things like, well, we're like a DSL company, we're like a cable company, we're like cell phone providers. We're like satellite internet providers. We're all like these things, but we are different. And so when you start identifying the likeness of that, you start putting us into a category that the industry, the people that look at our industry can understand. And so the terms competitive broadband provider, came up in this discussion. And so, a WISP operator is still a wireless internet service provider, and it always will be. We are seeing our industry evolve, and our WISP operators are using technology to our advantage. They're using the right technology to meet the needs of their customers, and so that's what makes us so nimble and so our ability to do the most cost-effective thing, which is what we talk about, in our discussions with folks in DC all the time. And so, but what he's trying to do is identify that, and so that's why some of the discussion came up about, what is a WISP. So a WISP is obviously a wireless ISP, and so broadband competing against other technologies, DSL, cable, cell phone, satellite. They all are competitive technologies, and so that's why he started off by talking about some of that information. But the other thing, which is really important, and I want to urge this, so if we have more surveys, if we try to collect, why do we need that? Well, as an industry advocacy group, we go to DC and we want to take information to explain to regulators and to our legislators who we are. And so this report is going to be a valuable tool and a valuable resource when we go to DC in the future and explain what a WISP is and why a WISP is and what a WISP is doing and how we fit in the competitive broadband ecosystem. The other part of this report, again, qualify, quantify, is to give information that is coming from a third party, not from me, not from our industry organization, not from you as a WISP operator going to talk to an investment company or bank, but a third party that is unaffiliated that has analyzed the industry and is saying that, number one, we are growing at a very rapid rate. Number two, we are very cost effective. And number three, that it's a profitable business. So when you go to a bank or you go to an investment group, you have a report that shows these people, what your plan. And so it's very useful in working very, very hard. We've got a lot of season payoff. They can grow faster. And so all this information to help them understand where they are doing the right thing, give them the support that they need, emotionally and financially on paper, that that they are growing and they're going to continue to grow and that they're doing the right thing. So this report is a very valuable resource in all these aspects of what we're doing. And so as the months progress and this report starts to reach its culmination and really gets a lot bigger than what it is today, because you just sort of had a taste of it at the show and just some of the information. That's why, in some cases, this is stuff you already knew. Well, yeah, I know I'm growing. I hear my phone ringing all day long. You don't have to give me a report to tell me that. But, if I want to go talk to a bank, they're not sitting in my office listening to my phone ring all day. They want to see, some facts and figures. And so, this is going to be good. And for the businesses that, are looking at, trying to grow their company, exponentially by, getting investment dollars, going to banks for loans and things like that, that's a valuable resource. But especially when we go do our advocacy in DC, we've got some facts now, and these are indisputable. So we can tell Congress, we can tell the FCC, we can tell the USDA, we can tell the White House, we can tell anybody we want, hey, here's the report, this is who we are.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Very important to have and to give people that information, because if we don't have that information, you go to the like he just said, you go to the bank and the bank's like, who are you? I don't know what you are, and that's really is go to the point where you keep growing. Nobody knows. It's very hard to do that, and of course that's changing and that's going away, if that makes sense. So
yeah, it is, and I'm we're like I said, we're still working on it. We have process to help this report, come out and be a very valuable resource for all of us.
Yeah, really, really good stuff there as well. I know we were going to talk a little bit about the WISPA pack as well.
Well, that was something new that we had at the show this year. It's obviously it's not new to WISPA right now because we've been working with the PAC for a while now. But it's something that our legislative advisor said would be a very useful tool for us, and so we helped them get a WISP PAC started. Now it's unaffiliated, so I don't have any strings. I cannot tell the PAC to do anything. However, their mission in life is to help support politicians that are supporting our industry. So, by default, if someone's doing something that helps WISPA and our members, we're going to be looking at them to support them on their in their efforts for reelection or just in general, financial support. And so the WISPAC was formed, and I think it's going to be a very useful tool in our efforts in DC. They raised close to $30,000 at the WISPAPalooza fundraiser, and I want to thank everybody who came and contributed. I know it seems like we're always asking, but the bottom line is that it's not going to get any easier for us. As we dig deeper into the world of DC and regulators and legislators, we're going to keep getting deeper into it. And so these things do cost money. These things do require funding. And so as everyone grows, we will grow. And as we grow, everybody else will grow. So
I enjoyed I didn't really hear from you, the WISPAPalooza. Tell us how is it going, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I obviously, we have Trina that handles our show, and what I want to talk a little bit about now is the two faces of WISPA. So our organization has evolved considerably over the past several years, and we have two faces now, and Trina represents one of the faces, and as president of WISPA, I represent the other face. Our charter is an industry advocacy group. We support and advocate for our members. But to do that, we've got to have funding. And so our trade shows that we can't. Trina has been the leader of that effort. The board gives direction. The agenda committee develops the content of the show, and Trina puts it all together to make sure that it runs smoothly and that everybody gets a good value out of the show. And so it's really a team effort. So the board, they kind of hands off a little bit about the operation of the show. We're not experts in that. We all have opinions, but we are definitely giving a lot of trust to Trina, and I think it's paid off over the years. And I want to keep giving her that the reins of that because it's such an important effort. Plus, the advocacy side of our organization is becoming very more complicated. Like I said, we've got a WISP PAC now that we're working with and coordinating with. We've got a lobby group in our in RE Storage working on basically getting into the meat and potatoes of what's going on in the Hill. Steve Cran and Lerman Center and team are working diligently every day on overtime, seems like, with our FCC efforts, basically to understand and come up with strategies. And then we've got our committee members and committee chairs of the FCC committee, legislative committee, all working together to help plan strategies. So, we've got an organization that has become very, very big and very, very complicated. So it's important that we keep things running smoothly. And so having the shows continue and operate successfully to help support our advocacy efforts is very important for our organization. So I just want to kind of illustrate that our organization does have two faces. There's the business side of it, which is very important because if membership and trade show activities are not run well, then we can't do anything in Washington.
There you go. Steve, you got any more questions for Alex?
I was just going to mention the WISPAC seems like a natural extension, especially after hiring Ari Storch to be our advocate there, running around DC. And I have to hand it to the folks that do go to DC. I mean, I've just heard it's like swimming with sharks. You want to take a bath in gasoline when you're done in that environment. But no, the WISPAC just seemed like the natural evolution of this face of WISPA. I mean, would you agree?
Oh yeah, yeah, and you know, having Elizabeth be the chairman of that pack has been perfect.
Yes.
She's got the background of being an operator. She has been on the board and has been president. She was legislative chair for WISPA, and now she's really taken all that she's learned and all the relationships she's developed now, and she's a natural extension to the organization. Although I must repeat, they are unaffiliated.
Well, yeah, they're unaffiliated, but I mean, is there a website that they have? And I mean, can we donate money to that cause online? And are there do they send out information of what they've been doing and how successful they've been? I know that this is kind of new to us, but I mean, that would be helpful if there was that kind of information to help drum up financial support.
The WISPAC, I've talked with Elizabeth about this, and you know, some of the members came to me and straight, you know, what's going on in the PAC, you know, things that they're looking at, fundraising opportunities, but you know, the basic information that I think will be very useful. I'm sure there will be a website that will make that available for you as well, for both information and for, you know, donations. But I just want to thank her for taking the reins on that, because it was a tough lift for anybody, and she's been a natural at taking it on. And so even though she's not on the board and she's not chairing the legislative committee, when we have our government relations meetings, which we have every 2 weeks, she's part of that and contributes a great deal.
When was the birth of the PAC?
It was over the summer, I believe. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date.
This last summer?
Yeah, it was something we were talking about during the last administration, when I think Elizabeth was on the board. Not the last one, but the one previous to this last one. And pay for the legal fees. Everything has legal fees.
Yeah.
But basically to get that organization formed and its charter written so we could move forward with that.
And like I said, you know, these are two important topics, the Carmel Group's findings, and WISPAC can be a show on their own, and we will host a show about that with the people that are leading that. But I just wanted to, those were two important topics that I felt came out of WISPALOOZA for sure, and I'm glad that you brought that up. We just briefly touched on it, but we can get a lot more in depth.
Well, Trina talked a little bit about, you know, some changes at WISPAPALOOZA, and that was more with the Fiber Weekend merging with the show so they could be more cost effective for everybody. But the other thing that we're going to try to do as well at this show and probably all of our shows is to try to extend our request for more legislative input. Hopefully we can get people from Congress or their aides to come and participate in panel discussions. I think having the membership at this show and having one-on-one conversations or one-on-many conversations, in this case with panels, to talk to our legislators firsthand will be a very powerful tool going forward. And so that's something else that we're going to be working on. We always seem to have a very good representation of FCC regulation and other regulations in general. And legislative has been more of a what we're going to do, what we like to do. But I think we're going to actually integrate more legislative efforts into the program going forward, so that, you know, when we have folks come in from DC that are, you know, congressional representatives, either their aides or the actual, you know, congressman or senator, I think that we'll have a very powerful impact in our efforts in DC, because they'll have an opportunity to actually meet these people firsthand, as opposed to, you know, me showing up and having a meeting with them. I mean, obviously I'm the part of the leadership, and I am an operator as well, so I have a lot of credibility with them. But, you know, to meet somebody that maybe not, or our leadership at WISPA will be a very powerful tool going forward. And I think that when I was talking in my about and wrong, right? Because if you think about what's happened over the past several years with regulation and the things that we've had to deal with, they've all been legal things, because that's really all you can do is fight a legal argument with the FCC. But we've all agreed that they've been morally wrong, giving money to our competitors to overbuild our networks because it's legal is not right. And so, dealing with the legislators and letting them understand the challenges that we have to do what is right, to actually meet the needs of the citizens of the United States who need broadband, I think is what they need to understand. And we need their help to change the laws to do what is right, as opposed to just legal.
Right.
So
you threw out one more. Sorry, Dennis. You threw out one thing. The change to the format of the show, and I think a majority of the people at the show stood up and said, "Yeah, we could do the Monday through Friday deal." Have you had any blowback? That's impossible, or is that a good idea?
Well, I mean, the closest thing I've had to blowback is that, and it comes back to, the fact that we're in Vegas, and, it's a pretty intense show. Um, I I found before I was on the board that it was difficult to see all the events and do and meet all the people and everything else. But even as a board member, I find it's still a challenge. So a solid week of shotgun learning is going to be difficult for a lot of folks, and so
Me
they'll
too.
either have to have more people at the show or less partying, I guess, at night.
well, that ain't no fun. Why would we want to do that? In response to this, actually, we finally got for everybody else that is at least listening in. It's actually up on the screen now, but it is the new proposed schedule for WISPAPalooza, whereas basically Saturday and Sunday, the first weekend, is training. We're hoping that everybody will be able to come in and arrive on Sunday or earlier if they're going to do training. The main WISPAPalooza show is going to run Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday, or partial of Wednesday. The afternoon portion of Wednesday will also have some fiber boot camp starting up in it. Thursday is going to be all fiber boot camp, and then the last part of the show, which is the beginning half or the morning of Friday, is going to be the final portion of fiber boot camp. Training sessions can start both Friday afternoon as well as Saturday, but the goal here is that if you're coming just for WISPAPalooza, which includes fiber boot camp, that you'll be able to come in on Sunday, which is, as Trina said, the cheapest day for anybody to fly into Vegas. So hopefully your flights are less expensive is the goal. We continue on all the way to Friday, and if all goes well, many people can probably schedule flights out Friday afternoon and evening, which is the cheapest day to fly out of Vegas. So when we look at this, it's really designed to be a win-win for everybody. The only downside is that since the vendors are going to basically be there Thursday evening as well, they may have an extra night, but I don't think that that's a good thing, because we do need a little bit extra time with vendors. As Alex said, we have the issue of, can everybody get, we got 122 vendors. You look at 3 days. How can 40 vendors a day? That's a lot of vendors, and if you're spending 10, 20 minutes each, it's virtually impossible. So I definitely can see where we could have a little extra time so that everybody can see, hopefully, everything. But for those of you that wanted to know, this was actually presented to the room during the closing remarks of WISPAPalooza. It was actually shown. We had really good feedback so far from it, so I'm pretty sure, as Trina said, 99.9% chance is this is what we're going to probably be doing. So, with that, I guess I'm gonna head over to the website, make sure there's no last questions. Steve, do you have any last questions for Alex?
No, Alex, great show. Appreciate showing us the two faces of WISPA and explaining that, and the discussion about WISPAC and the Carmel Group. We'll have individual shows on that for sure. But I appreciate you being on the show to tell us about what you thought of the show. I thought it was an outstanding show. The growth every year and learning something new is always beneficial to me.
Right. I was so happy to see all the new vendors at the show. Honestly, I had to actually go talk to some of them as they were trying to disassemble their booth towards the end of the week. So that was how my week went. But I was, that's a great thing. When I see new vendors, new technology, that's got to be a good thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha. One note for those of you that just seen that presentation or that slide. Trina did want me to make sure that most likely all day on Wednesday we will be starting to filter in fiber sessions. So Wednesday, Thursday, and half of Friday will be pretty much also fiber, with Wednesday being the day that there's a crossover between some fiber sessions and some only wireless sessions. So good stuff overall. Alex, thank you very much. Trina, I know Trina is kind of off, but thank you very much for being on the show. It was a great show, and the WISPAPalooza was a great show. We hope to see you. I know we'll see you in, Memphis coming up shortly. So, that's going to be a really, really good time. I'm really looking forward to that as well as it comes up.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
And in 2 weeks, we are going to have Net Sapiens on the show. We've had them on the show before, but they solicited us to be on the show again, so we're happy to have them on. So stay tuned in 2 weeks. I think that's the 9th of November. We will have Net Sapiens.
Excellent.
Well, let's wrap it up, Dennis. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you for listening to ISP Radio. We hope you've gained new insights and additional wisdom in our industry as well as your business. Please remember to visit our show sponsors via the links on ispradio.com. If you're interested in becoming a show sponsor, contact us at sales@ispradio.com. Now go out there and push those packets as fast as you can. Good luck and Godspeed.